Branding and marketing is vital for the success of every business. But one of the questions I'm always asked is what come before what? In the sense of, does branding comes before marketing, or does marketing comes before branding? Today I will take a deep look into branding and marketing, and perhaps help you to understand which one comes before the other. It's like the chicken and the egg. But I promise you, before the end of today's program, I will help you to get a much better understanding as to which one should be in front of the other. Now, to join me in today's conversation, I have two dynamic personality, and by now you should be familiar with them. But for those who are not familiar with my two team player, I want to introduce Clement Frank. And Clement Frank, he is an economist by profession. He's a practicing leader and soon to release his new book. I also have Peter Guscott, and Peter is the brain. He's a theologist by profession, and he's also the brain behind Legacy Chronicle Human Growth and Program. So I want to welcome you guys to the program today. How are you guys?
Very good.
Mm, very good, very excellent.
Okay.
Fabulous and fantastic.
There you go.
I thought we were leaving out the F words today, buddy. We see the consequences of the F words, huh? All right. Frank, you pause. I don't know, but I just want to call your attention. Perhaps you may have to pop out and
Let me
pop
see.
back.
All right, let me.
All right. Yes. Today we are going to be looking at a pretty interesting topic. And the topic we are looking at today is branding and marketing. Now, as a pro in branding and marketing, you tend to recognize certain things. Of course, you have to build a brand before you market the brand. All right. So, in that context, one might want to say, hey, the brand comes before marketing. But let me go a little deeper. A pro will also understand that building a brand is not necessarily about you, it's not about your ego. Building a brand means that you're building brand for an ideal client. And for that brand to be built for that ideal client, there's a couple of things that you need to understand. One, you need to have an understanding of the ideal client. So, what that means, to put yourself in a position of strength to have an understanding of the ideal client, it means that you have to collect intelligence. All right? You have to collect intelligence. You have to ensure that you have the market data. Now, how do you put yourself in that position to be market intelligence? You have to do the research. All right. And by doing the research, it means that you are putting yourself in a position of strength to become market oriented. To be market oriented means that you are collecting sensitive data about the ideal client. It means that now that you have collect essential information about the ideal client, you can go one step further. You can now be market sensitive. And these are essential parts of the branded and marketing process that you need to understand. So long before you produce a brand, you want to be market oriented. You want to be market sensitive before you're market responsive. And let me go through this quickly. So step one, you're collecting information about the ideal client because the brand has to be produced for the ideal client. And if the product or service is not properly aligned to the ideal client, you have missed an opportunity. You may also be investing a whole lot of money in the brand innovation only to recognize that it does not align with the interests of the ideal client. So you want to be market oriented, and market oriented means that you're collecting sensitive information about the ideal client that you can now up level into the sales and marketing effort. So you collect the information, then step two, you have to analyze the information. Because very often, as you collect information, you have to take the time to understand what that information is saying, what that, you know, sensitive data is saying about the ID client. So either you or your team member who's trained in this area, you have to be able to analyze it. An example of this is that let us suppose that you're collecting information about business startup, small, micro, small businesses. You want to collect data, but what are some of the challenges that they're faced with? For example, they might be faced with challenges in terms of accessing the market. They may be faced with challenges of rapid staff turnover. They may be faced with challenges like access to capital. So as you collect these data, it allows you now to be more sensitive because you're analyzing what are the challenges that that business is faced with. So now that you understand, you collect the data, you analyze the data, you now know the challenges that those businesses are faced with. You can now do the third step, which is market responsiveness. You can respond to the market in an intelligent way because you have the information. So there should be no brand innovation, no brand creation before you being market oriented and market sensitive. You respond to the market not based on an emotion. You respond to the market based on needs. And for you to understand those needs, you must understand the ideal client. And it's from this you now innovate products and services to reach the expectations and possibly exceed the expectations of the ideal client. This is how you do uh, clinical branding, clinical marketing. So you now know who you're producing for, why, you know their needs. So as you go to the innovation platform, you know exactly what you're innovating. So I trust that that introduction really helped you to understand which come before the other. Is it marketing before branding, or is it branding before marketing? With that being said, I'm going to turn control over to my colleague, Frank. Would love to hear your input on the subject matter. All to you, my friend.
Good morning, and thanks a lot for having me here
Welcome.
today. It's always great to be here.
Welcome anytime, buddy.
In any business, that's on my side of thing. I think marketing is a key to success, especially in today's competitive marketplace. Because a well-defined and executed marketing strategy is essential to ensuring that your business stands out from the crowd. And there are a number of elements to consider when you're developing a market strategy, including the target audience, your unique selling proposition, and the channels through which you will reach your audience. But what is also important is changing market strategy every so often after you've been monitoring the performance and determining what's working and what's not working. When a company considers changing its marketing strategy, it must weigh the pros and cons carefully. On one hand, making changes to an existing strategy can bring fresh ideas into play and be effective in appealing to new audiences. On the other hand, it can also be expensive and time consuming if not properly planned and executed. And this means that companies must think critically before investing in such a pivot, ensuring that they have taken the necessary steps to avoid costing mistakes while also they're broadening their customer base. Making the right decision when it comes to changing a marketing strategy is often a delicate balance between taking risks and exercising caution. Pros. Changing your market strategy can be advantageous for business. It can result in a fresh, new approach to engaging consumers and creating meaningful connections with the brand. By keeping up to date with current trends and responding to customer feedback, companies can meet or remain relevant and capitalize on market opportunities. Additionally, excuse me, altering the strategies employed may improve customer service processes. It may lead to increased satisfaction levels among customers. Changing the market strategy could also allow businesses to target new audiences or other messaging to further appeal to the existing ones, resulting in an increase in brand awareness. What's the flip side to that? When you change market strategy, it can be tricky business. One of the major cons of revising your marketing strategy is that it often requires a substantial investment in time, resources, and money. And this could include the expense associated with creating new content, with changing existing content, or using additional digital channels for promotion. Additionally, you risk alienating existing customers if the changes to your strategy don't meet their needs or expectations. So introducing something completely new to an untested audience also runs the risk of being unsuccessful, resulting in an expensive mistake for your organization. And furthermore, employees could find it difficult to alter their own behavior and practices in order for the new marketing strategy to be successful. So what should your business do? It is clear that when it comes to shifting marketing strategies, the benefits far outweigh any potential drawbacks. When you invest in a new method of delivering messages and content to current and prospective customers, it has the potential to elevate brand awareness. It has the potential to boost sales and strengthen customer loyalty. So by putting research into understanding the wants and needs of target audiences, businesses can create campaigns that effectively engage those audiences with fresh ideas and meaningful connections. And in addition to all these advantages, there is also room for experimentation when creating new strategies, meaning that companies have the ability to try different tactics without suffering tremendous consequences in case something does not go as planned. Therefore, on the whole, if you're shifting marketing strategies, is a win-win decision for most businesses. So if you need help with your marketing strategy, we have experts here. Let us help you. And we offer a full suite of digital marketing services, include website development, inbound marketing, and SEO services that are designed to help you get found online. So you contact us here to learn more. Over to you, Gary.
Um, Frank, I want to take you up on a point that you would have made, and I want to take you up because it's so important. Very often, you have a brand, and what you see happen sometimes is that someone may have a brand similar to yours, and you want to distinguish yourself. But in the effort to distinguish yourself, you change up the brand image and the marketing strategies completely without doing a number of important first steps before. Now, as I speak, I'm not going to call any one of the business names, but we are interfacing with clients. They have an existing business, but the competition had a similar name. So what they decide to do is to change the name to create the name distinction. And in changing the name, guess what happened? It affected the customer and how the customer is responding to the brand, because the customer, they're familiar with the name and they associate quality to that specific name. Now, it's not that you can't change the name, but then there's a right and wrong way in how you go about doing this. There's a number of practical steps that should be taken before the name change, so as to ensure that the existing customer base is somewhat familiar with that change, and to coincide with the work that can be done before, you can have some work being done during the process where you invite some critical stakeholder over to that transition. And during and after, there's a concept that we call influence marketing that can also be deployed. So there's a number of things that could be done. It's not that it cannot be done, but if it is not done in the right way, based on everything that Frank would have said, you can end up hurting the business more than
Mm,
helping that business. Because remember, when you introduce a new name and the existing customers are not aware of who's behind that new name, it's just like you have to now break through the know, like, and trust factor. And that slows the process down. They may now revert to the competition because they are familiar with the competition name. So I just wanted to point that out based on what you would have said. Those are important points, and of course, we'll be so happy to work with the business community to really help them to get branded and marketing right. When I come back, I will talk now about now you build a brand. What's next? Of course, marketing comes next, but I want to look also at the fastest way to cash flow your business. I'm going to now turn to Peter. Peter, I would love to have your thoughts on the ideas that we share so far. All to you, my friend.
And as usual, it's a nice, always nice to be here. Being here is a place where I can get a good healthy early morning laugh, and at the
A
same,
good head start on the day too.
and then to talking about ideas, um and subjects that are so relevant to building the kind of energy and productivity that is essential for our lives, especially in our area that we love to talk about, human growth and development. And we love this topic because the human species is the at the top of the, or ought to be at the top of the ecosystem that is occupying the planet. And overall, we sometimes it seems as if we are not developing as we ought to. So to be discussing ways in which we are going to make the persons who are responsible, or the species that has the responsibility over everything else, to make us more effective in what we do, is our subject. So topic, speaking in forms like this, like, and particularly as we're talking now about marketing and branding, because every individual, as we are out there, as the persons watching this broadcast, whether you know it or not, you do have a brand, and we associate your brand as when we communicate about individuals in developing their character, because human growth has a lot to do with character, in who we are, how are we standing out, or how are we making ourselves, or how are we projecting ourselves to our community. And in this respect, we communicate personal life development, and having a design development. Personal life development is built around about a subject matter that we speak a lot about on this broadcast, about habits, because your branding is really your habits, and what you do repeatedly. That is what is actually you are being known by, because you're repeatedly making these projections into your marketplace, into your and when we speak about even marketplace, Individuals who are not into business may think that, you know, these guys, this is not relevant, but it is very much relevant, because, you know, we all have a place that we serve in some way, shape, or form. We have all of a place within our personal circles that we are individuals are partaking from our lives. So we have to be intentional about what it is that we do, how we manage our habits. And well, basically, because how we manage our habits is determining how we develop our behavior. And in your personal life, as you are, you know, working or living with the people who are around you, your behavior, your repeated behavior, is going to develop your character. And repeated character is what people know, what you are known by, or what you are an individual is projecting in their future, which is now becoming their destiny. It is going ahead of them. And your destiny, after you are no longer here, your destiny now becomes your legacy. So we have to be very intentional. And in our worlds, again, we require individuals also to actually plan it. Don't just go about your life without having a master plan in how you are projecting your image or projecting yourself and the space you are carving out into your community. And it is very important for us to understand, especially as it is, we're dealing with the area of, say, business right now. And if you are creating an image that is going to be successful in terms of a product or a service or a message that you are directing into the marketplace, there are three basic concepts that are necessary to be effective. And number one, you will have to build, as we're talking about characters, right? So branding in our area of human growth and personal life development, um, it's your character. And if you're going to be practicing this where business is concerned, as a brand, you want to have an attractive character. So your brand, every brand is about solving a problem and attracting people into the business or into your scope that is going to participate or partake of the product or the service that you are developing. So you want to be intentional and have a strategic plan about designing what we would call an attractive character. And you have to know all the components. You have to work on the components of how you're going to build an attractive character, because an attractive character has two other elements. If when you're building an attractive character, you want to also understand how your internal character is playing out. And your internal character is your private battles. As you're going through life, one of the biggest issues that individuals are dealing with is the voice in your own head, your internal battles. And why your internal battles are important to build an attractive character, because everybody else understand the struggles, the internal struggles that we all go through in our human growth process. Every individual has some secret private dealings that they are constantly battling with. And when you are able to be able to express that to your audience and they understand that you are like them, then immediately what happens, they realize they can trust this individual because they are like them. And that becomes even attractive because now they are routing for you because they understand the battles that you are going through and you are just like them, which will now lead to the external character. And the external character is who everybody see you to be and what you are doing and how you engage, out there in the marketplace or in your public life. Your external characters is now dealing with those external battles that you're dealing with on a day by day basis. So in your character development, and this is true as the character of your life, which is also true in the character that is running concurrently as you live your day by day life. And this is the area that a lot of persons do not really realize what, as they're progressing through life, that they're actually building a story. So, what you also want to do is to control the narrative of the story that you are writing as you are going through life. And in order to do that, let's get back to the basis that you have to become a character of who is attractive, control the internal voices or manage the internal battles, and also be careful how you deal with your in your external or public battles you're doing. But managing those three processes of your attractive character, your internal character, and your external character will actually give you a foothold, and you're able to do well if you're doing in business, or just if it is just in life. Your time, Gary.
All right, Peter. Um, you share a lot, and of course, you relate to the subject from a theological standpoint. You talk a lot about character, and building character also can be relevant to building a personal brand, because building a personal brand is all about building who you are and projecting who you are in a control manner to the public. Now, great here. So I want to now look at, now you have built the brand, what's next? But just before we come to what's next, in building a brand, it's important for you to also take into consideration several things. In building that brand, it is your attempt to share public opinion of the value that you are introducing to the market. In building that brand, you are asking yourself, how do I want to be known? How do I want to be liked? How can I be trusted? Those are questions you're constantly asking yourself as you build a brand. For example, in building the brand, you can say to yourself, I want to be known as the person that produces premium quality product. So if you're the person that wants to produce premium quality product, you have to basically take the time to understand how that premium quality product is going to be aligned to the ideal client. Because there are some clients and consumers out there, they have really no interest in premium quality product. And if even they have interest in premium quality product, they don't have the ability to support it or the willingness to buy it based on disposable income. So there are many factors. But in building a brand, it is an opportunity for you to predetermine how you want the public to relate to you. So now you have gone past building that brand. You have gone past predetermining how you want to shape and influence public opinion. The next step is marketing. Now, one of the novice mistakes that we see many rising stars in business do is to underestimate the cost of doing business, is to underestimate the cost of marketing. So you spend quite a number of weeks and months and years innovating something of substance. Now, innovating something of substance, we may call it the brand. If there is not a budget to project it outwards, you have failed. All right, because the next step is going to be relating to building relationships with critical stakeholders. It's going to be relating to enhancing the brand visibility. Visibility is not reach, so you want to invest in reach. Reach is not impact, so when you reach, you want to ensure that you're making impact. Because only when you come to the visibility to reach the impact, You now come to what we call client conversion. From client conversion, you get the cash flow optimization. So there's a sequence of things and steps that you must take into consideration as you begin to look at marketing. What is marketing? Some people hear marketing and it's a blank slate. To a pro, it's not a blank slate. It's a number of strategic steps that you need to take to elevate the brand in the minds of the ideal client and other critical stakeholders. And there's a game plan to achieve this. Now, I want to reference you to a series of books that we have developed. We have recently published Master the Sales Communication Process. So when you go to our website, the website, I'm going to put it on the screen now, bestsellerportal.org, and you go to products, you're going to see some of the books that I'm talking about. I want to encourage you, if you're in business, get a copy of this book, because whether you are new into business or you have some years in business, there's a whole lot in this book that you will learn that can help you to optimize visibility, reach, and impact, client conversion, confidence, trust, and credibility. There's a whole lot that you can take away from these books to position you to optimize the business success. So go get a copy of that book. Now, we're talking of the next steps now. You've built a brand. You want visibility. But of course, what you want is cash flow optimization. You want a cash flow fast. Now, if you have studied business, a lot of businesses in the developed world, you would find that very often they say that there is a 5-year period to break even. And that is true in many cases. But there are ways in which you could fast track the cash flow potential of the business. And I want to make this clear also. The 5-year break-even point is taking a number of factors into consideration, because before a business is launched, before a brand is launched into the market, that brand may be doing market research and market testing. They may be taking a year or two in the market research and the market testing before that brand is introduced to the market. So there's a cost associated to doing all of that. So it may take them some time to recoup from the cost associated with the market research and market testing. But the point I want to come to here is that regardless of your method of introducing the brand to the market, you want a cash flow. And is there a faster way to cash flow your business? Yes, there is. A pro will say to you that we are not going to, mark time through the know, like, and trust. We're going to come into the market and we're going to do everything practically possible to position the brand as a critical player from the get-go. What can you do to achieve this? Now, there's a concept that we call influencer marketing. Now, think about this. You identify 5 strong influencers, or even one. The right one can even do it for you. And you bring them to advocate on behalf of the brand. What happens? Let us suppose that Peter is known by 5 million persons, 10 million persons across the world. He has a fan base of a few million persons, and he says to the public, his audience, support this book. We saw what Oprah did. She has a strong fan base, and every author that goes on her stage, they achieve instant results. All right. Now, these are some things that we have seen many businesses do. All right. They're starting up, but they understand a way to accelerate the growth of that organization. So there are a number of strategies that you can deploy to enhance the brand visibility, reach, and impact, to accelerate the know, like, and trust, and to optimize that business cash flow. To do this, however, is capital intensive. Not the average person can do this because it is capital intensive. Because to work with influencers, they can charge you a whole lot of money. For example, when you have people like Jordan who endorse Nike, it's not $1,000 that he's being paid. He's being paid millions of dollars over many years for endorsing that brand. So these are things that you and your marketing team, you and your marketing strategists, you have to really sit and think about it and ensure that you can make informed and educated decision in terms of what are the best strategies to deploy to really put that business in a strength, in a position of strength to cash flow optimize. So these are just some of the techniques so that I believe can be deployed to help that business to grow. All right, so influencer marketing is something for you to start thinking about. Now, as I prepare to turn it over to Frank, there's a couple of things that I want to say. What we have seen today is that many companies they focus a lot on corporate branding, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But one of the questions that I've put to you in the many books that we have written on marketing is how can personal branding aid the corporate brand? And it can aid the corporate brand a whole lot. Because remember, in corporate branding, in most cases, people become familiar with the product. But what if people are becoming familiar with you long before you introduce the product? And the way to make that happen is when you have strong influencers, personally branded in the organization or external to the organization that is helping to champion the business strategic objective for the brand. Again, I want to encourage you to go get some of the books that we have written. You can go to the bestseller portal and tap on products. You will see all the books. I encourage you to go get the book there. So Frank, I now turn to you for your share. All to you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Brand marketing. What is brand marketing? I think it's a powerful approach that businesses use, and they use it to build, to advertise, to nurture positive and memorable reputation for their offerings in the minds of customers. Brand marketing goes beyond simply promoting the features of a product or service. Instead, it is a multifaceted approach that aims to establish a unique brand identity, and this involves carefully crafting brand elements such as your logos, your slogans, your visual aesthetics to convey a specific set of values, and of course, you want to evoke a certain emotion. So brand markets are limited to traditional advertising methods, as it encompasses all touch points with consumers, including the customer service, how you package, what is your online presence like. So the ultimate objective of brand marketing is to cultivate unwavering brand allegiance and awards by crafting compelling and consistent messaging across a multitude of platforms. Organizations will strive to establish a favorable perception of their brand, making it unforgettable and also relatable. And through appealing to consumers' emotions, brand marketing endeavors to sway their buying choices, and then they forge what we consider a lasting connection between the brand and its followers. And you see that in Nike, in KFC, in so many brands, pop brands. And essentially, brand marketing surpasses the traditional product advertising and concentrates on molding a robust and long-lasting brand persona that resonates with the intended audience, fostering confidence and commitment over an extended period of time. It involves strategic identity building. The effective brand marketing transcends product features, necessitating the deliberate crafting of a unique brand through the persona, through elements like logos and slogans, integration of we call visual elements, which aims to evoke those powerful emotions that foster deep connection with the target audience and by conveying the brand's values. There's also the multidimensional strategy. Effective brand marketing extends beyond traditional advertising, involving all consumer interactions from the customer service to your online presence. And each touch point offers an opportunity to reinforce the brand's unique identity, which leaves a lasting impression on consumers throughout their experience. You need to have a developing brand awareness and loyalty, and this is brand marketing, where brand marketing aims to build unwavering loyalty and awareness by consistently delivering engaging message across multiple platforms, creating a positive and memorable perception of the brand for enduring customer connections. And of course, when we look at the emotional appeal for durable bond, this brand marketing now becomes an art that involves capturing consumer emotions to drive purchasing decisions. So it goes beyond advertising, focusing on creating a unique and unforgettable brand identity to establishing that lasting bond and cultivating the trust and loyalty over time. So it is important that you brand, and brand marketing importance is one is that it creates an identity. It builds trust and credibility. Yeah, you have customer loyalty, you have competitive differentiation. Of course, there's an emotional bond. You feel a sense of value. All these are important for brand marketing. And so when you look at brand marketing, you look at the strategies such as understanding your target audience and your positioning and branding, where you have unchanging branding components. When you look at your marketing content, social media awareness, how do you do that? How are you able to develop that effective brand marketing strategy? So you have to have a market research. You have to define what is your brand identity. Um, what is the target audience? What segment of the audience are you looking at? Do you have your competitive analysis? What is your brand positioning? And so into all of that, you will need to now look at those brands that has gone before you. Nike, just do it. Because Nike's brand marketing approach centers on the iconic phrases, just do it. Because the brand presents itself as a catalyst for action, motivating individuals to push the boundaries and reach their full potential. And this strategy is intricately woven with inspirational stories, showcasing athletes who epitomize determination and triumph. When you look at the brand of Apple, it's simplicity and innovation for the Dove products. It's a real beauty campaign. The Airbnb, belong anywhere. Then you have Starbucks creating a third place. So, to put it simply, brand marketing is a crucial factor for companies aiming to make a strong and enduring impression on consumers. And we know it goes beyond simply advertising products. Instead, concentrate on creating that distinct and memorable brand image. So by carefully defining brand elements, you're identifying the ideal audience and you're utilizing effective tactics. Businesses can build trust. Businesses can foster loyalty and establish that favorable reputation. And the significance of brand marketing cannot be overstated. It holds the power to establish a distinct identity. It forms emotional connections and then it ensures long-term success. So the comprehensive brand marketing strategies, which encompassing influencer partnerships and community involvement, demonstrate the multidimensional approach necessary for achieving the success. And so furthermore, the instructional manual on creating a powerful brand marketing strategy will highlight the importance of conducting thorough market research, maintaining consistent branding, and being adaptable. So, in today's constantly evolving consumer environment, an effective brand marketing strategy is crucial for companies not only to grab attention, but also to establish that long lasting connection with their target audience. Thank you.
Great share, Frank. And you've said a lot there. You know, in business, definitely you want to command attention, pique interest, arouse desire, move the client into action, make impact. There's a range of things that you want to achieve through the branding and marketing experience. But I will expand on this particular topic, which is media and media effectiveness, because as a pro, you begin to recognize that you of yourself, you may have a strong brand. You of yourself, you may have a strong marketing strategy. But as Frank would have just said, you need to be thorough in the research. And if you're not researching the media and media effectiveness, you can significantly undermine the business potential to achieve targeted results. So I will come back shortly and I will talk about media and media effectiveness and what you should know. Peter, all to you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Gary, about as individuals as they go through life and how we actually navigate ourselves. And in what we do, we help people to write their stories. And there are certain disciplines that goes into writing your story, writing how an individual communicate their story. And as it even as it relates to the conversation that we're having now about brand development, brand development is the same thing as character development, because it is, and whether it is in a person's personal life or in business, it equates to be the same. It's the same because it all equates that the corporate entity in the marketplace is actually carving their way, developing a character that they want to be noted as in the marketplace. And the same thing is true on an individual basis, where individuals want to be known for a particular contribution that they are making to the community and to their society. So building and working on your character, and your character is how people know you, what they like about you, and what they trust you for. And there has to be intentionality about how this is done. So, in writing your story, in writing an effective story, in writing an effective story about your personal life, in how you are projecting, and there is intentionality about it, and we do trust that the individuals and well who are viewing this broadcast, what we're saying to them is you have to be intentional about the outcomes that you're looking for. Most people go through life on a default. They just live life as it comes, whatever happened at that moment. They just go through life as is. But for the person who's going to be successful in their personal life and in the life of business, in what they do, whether it is for profit or not for profit, there is an intentionality that has to be said. And where branding is concerned, one of the areas that you have to be intentional about is the story that you are leaving behind, the story that you are telling. And you are telling a story, whether or not you are conscious about it. We are all telling a story. So we want you to be, if you are seeking to be successful, be intentional about the story that you are telling. So and storytelling breaks down into just some very basic components that goes into. So if you're going to tell a story, what we're saying about becoming attractive or building an attractive character, every attractive character, it becomes attractive because there is a antagonist and there is a protagonist. That's the way. That's the history of the Bible. That's the history of Hollywood. That's the history of literatures. There is a protagonist and there is an antagonist. There is an individual who is seeking to accomplish good, and in that quest to accomplish good, then there are challenges, whether those challenges is a person or circumstances or situation. So being intentional about your story is deciding that you are, or what kind of a protagonist you're going to be, is to be intentional about the challenges that you are dealing with and the difficulties, or another human being that you have to deal with in life, and how you are going to be working out the details about what those challenges are, because that is your story. That is your branding that you are dealing with. And when you can be very direct in working out those details, at the end of the day, you will look back at your life and you will realize that there is something, there is a narrative, there is some control factors about how you are living and what you are doing. The same thing can be said about any successful individual, whether it is a Steve Jobs or whether it is a Microsoft in the person of Bill Gates, or these individuals who have been successful, who everybody now know them for what they are doing. It is the same thing. So what the advice that I would, just want to throw out there right now is intentionality, which comes right back to what we love to talk about, is having a personal life master planning in general. It's very important for you to have, constantly live with that mindset, that, or develop, what we will tell individual to do is to develop a master plan where you can see all the components of what you are doing and where you're going to place your attention at any given time as you are building out that character, as you are telling that story, your personal story even. And if you're in business, it's always going to be what story you are telling today, and you want to be truthful. Definitely you want to be truthful about the stories that you are telling, because that is life. At the end of the day, it is a story, and it is how you are being remembered with every exchange that you have. How, when somebody walk away from you, what is the experience, what is the experience of that engagement, whether it is brief or whether it is for an extended period. What how do you how are you remembered in each engagement? So you have to be intentional, and being intentional works well when you have a plan, a master plan that you're constantly working with, and it's just each period you are focused on a particular area to develop and to continue to brand and stamping your memory in people's. Over back to you, Gary.
All right. We're going to start to wrap up like now. So when I come back, you guys will give your closing remarks. But a couple of things that I want to say. As you build a brand, as you implement your marketing programs, there's a couple of things that you need to take into consideration. And what I call the media and media effectiveness. So one is understanding the medium or medium of exchange that you can use to achieve your visibility objective, and is to understand the effectiveness of the media. So let me break this down for you. So as you start to think about the brand visibility, what options do you have available to optimize the visibility of your brand? For example, you could work with mass media. And when we talk of mass media, we're talking about radio, television, and newspaper. You have this option available to you. So you need to identify the best mass medium channels that you can use to help you to get the visibility, the reach, the impact, the client conversion, cash flow optimization, confidence, trust, and credibility. The same applies to social media. There are many different forms of social media, and you need to also ask yourself, how are you using these medium of exchange to reach the ideal client and to achieve the business strategic objective: visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, cash flow optimization? So each one of these ecosystem of media, they function differently, and it's very important for you not only to know that they exist, but it's to understand their functionality and how to use them. I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But the third medium of exchange that you have is the metaverse. Today, we have millions and millions of young people who are moving to the metaverse. And you need to be market oriented. You need to be market sensitive so you can also be responsive to the changes that are taking place in communication outlets. 5, 10 years ago, we didn't have the metaverse. It's a new emerging technology that is quickly becoming a new social norm. And in business, you have to be sensitive to these changes so you can adjust some of your business practices to them. So there you have three medium to consider. The last and very important medium of exchange that I want to share with you is independent, because it's important for you to recognize that mass media, you have necessarily no control over this. You don't own it. Social media, you don't own it. The metaverse, you don't own it. But when you start to think of creating independent communication platforms that you own and control, something significant happens here. Because of the independence of this platform, it gives you access to your fan base. And having access to your fan base means a lot in the business, in the marketing process. So these are important concepts that you want to think about as you prepare to build your brand and optimize visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, cash flow optimization, confidence, trust, and credibility in your value proposition. Now that we understand medium of exchange, communication channel, it's important to pause a bit and really ask yourself, what is the effectiveness of these mediums? And as we look at effectiveness, how do you measure effectiveness? As a branding and marketing specialist, as a pro in this, it's not just about producing the ad. It's not just about placing the ad on across these mediums. It's about you asking yourself, what is my targeted performance outcome? How do I define advertising goals for measure advertising results? How do I measure the results that I'm getting? And there are several things that you can do to achieve this. So some of the things that you can look at is one, the span of reach. There are some mediums that are built out to just be a local entity, so their reach is locally. What happens in the case when you have a national brand, but the medium of exchange is only allowing you to achieve a local span of visibility? You now have to think about spending locally and spending nationally in order to reach a national audience. You have to be able to justify if it makes sense, because in the case where you're able to place the ad in a national medium that is going to give you both local and the national at perhaps a lower cost, you have to be able to justify your expenses, because you're going to be spending money unnecessarily. So you want to assess these things. All right. So there's some medium that may give a span that might be local, regional, national, or regional or international. You want to be aware of this. So this is how thorough you need to become when you are leveraging the marketing tool, because you may look at the business and say, look how that business spring up so fast. Look how they're so successful in what they're doing. But the strategies behind all of that is what you're not seeing. And because you're not seeing it, guess what happened? You're shortchanged. And very often in the classroom, I would say to students, when it comes to building wealth, and even when you come to marketing, it's not what the eyes can see. Because sometimes you're seeing things, but you don't fully understand it. It's really what the mind can see. And the mind become much clearer in what it can see when you have data. When you're collecting the right information, you're trained to analyze the right information, you're leveraging that data in the right way, and you know exactly how to mitigate it. If you don't have this body of knowledge, you're doing business with a blindfold over your eyes. You're doing marketing with a blindfold over your eyes. You're doing guesstimation. And when it comes to, spending millions of dollars in budgetary allocation to optimize visibility, reach, and impact, to achieve client conversion, cash flow optimization, to build confidence, trust, and credibility, you don't want to be speculating in terms of the money that you're spending here. You don't want to gamble with that, because you can put a whole lot of monies into your marketing campaign and not achieve the marketing objective. Why? Because you don't have enough information. So let us suppose that you even reach the station and you're now international because of the platform that you're using. Is there other factors to look at when you're assessing the effectiveness of the outlet? We talk about content design. Is that content design to appeal to the audience? What type of audience base do you have? And do you have the right content to really command their attention, to pique their interest, to arouse their desire, and keep them watching the program? So when you place the ad on that program, guess what? They're watching your programs. They're watching your program. So there's a broad range of issues that you want to consider when it comes to spending the advertising dollar. And if you're not doing this, you're shooting yourself in the legs. Importantly, the next question you want to be asking yourself as you assess the effectiveness of the media is that medium outlet able to help you to get the client conversion that you want? Because if the media is not appealing to your ideal client, all right, if they're not appealing to your ideal client, you have a challenge here. All right, you have a major challenge here. And as an expert, as a pro in marketing and branding, you need to know it. You owe it to yourself and to the client to ensure that you have this body of knowledge so you can make proper representation for that client. If you're doing it as an independent company, it's not just about saying I have the budget to advertise. You want to measure the effectiveness of the mediums that you're using to achieve the reach, to achieve the visibility, to achieve the impact, to achieve the client conversion, to achieve the cash flow optimization. So I'm going to pause here for now, and I really trust that the listening audience had some meat to take away today when it comes to building the brand and marketing. Of course, at the beginning of this program, we asked the question, what comes first? Is it marketing before branding, or is it branding before marketing? In the event that you didn't hear that, look back at the beginning of this program. Peter, your closing remarks. Frank had to run. Of course, as usual, he got to deal with the office calls.
Yes.
Your closing remarks, though, Peter.
Yes, right. Right. So and we will. This is where I like to say this, that the whole purpose of going into business is solely, there is no other reason. And if anybody is going into business for any other reason, they're going to fail. We're just flatly say the whole purpose of going into business is for human growth and development. That's it. If you're going into business for any other reason, you're on another side. You're not on the light side. The whole purpose for going into business is because you want to add good to humanity. You want your community. You want the human species to evolve, to become better than what we are now, and continually into the future. So with that in mind, there are three impacts. There are three impacts that you want to have. You want to have, first of all, you want to have a moral impact. You want to have, so if you're gonna do something and it is not right, even though it might work for business, I would still tell you, don't do it. Don't do it. Because at the end of the day, overall, it is about the impact, the uplifting of humanity as a whole. It is about how are we faring as a species. So it has to be the right thing. And what we're finding is that we're in a world where people will do just about anything as long as the money, is good. But we cannot do the wrong thing. It has to have, you have to be doing the right thing. Number thing, it has to have psychological impact. And when we say psychological impact, it would be so great that it is having moral impact, and then it is moral impact that is memorable. It is impacting people's psychology, because that's where branding takes place anyhow, because you're itching your mark, you're causing people to remember you. You have all the traits and all the designs and the logos and the brand slogan and all of those things. Why are those things important? Because you want to have people, you want to carve your way, you want to brand yourself into people's mind. You want to say the thing that is unique, because you are working with people's psychology and you're trying to influence people to do what you want them to do. So it has to have psychological impact, but let the psychological impact be a moral decision constantly. And then the third thing is that social impact. Social impact. Society must become better. It must always be in how humans we are relating to each other, and we are learning how to relate to each other in a better way. As a society, we ought to be improving. We ought to be becoming better in who we are collectively. And if we can accomplish that, if we can accomplish that repeatedly, habitually, if we can do that constantly, and we are progressing over time, then we will look back and the atrocities that we're seeing in life will be coming every 5, 10 years. It should be becoming, it should be reducing. Society should be becoming better. But and when we are in forms like this, it hurts, because it seems as if, as a whole, even though we are making the millions and the billions and now billions, and now people are talking about trillions and success and success and success, but then when we have a bird's eye view of how we are faring out as a species, it seems as if we're not looking too good overall. But this is where, we're passionate about human growth and development, and our drive is that, we use business as a tool. We use business, that business is used as a tool for human growth and development overall. Thank you, Gary.
All right, Peter, and thanks again for that share. And of course, today we are talking about pro marketing and branding. I really trust that you enjoyed today's program. And today we really talk about some of the best practices behind building a brand. Building that brand is not necessarily for you. You're building that brand to add value. You're building that brand to fix problems. So if you are going to achieve the objective of adding value and fixing problems, it makes sense that you understand whose problems you're fixing and who you're adding value to. And that begins with collecting the right information before you get to the stage of the branding. So we talk a lot about that. Now that you have completed this process, you have a clear mental picture of your ideal client. What are their pain points, their needs, wants, and expectations? You have additional information as to how to access them, is how you're going to deploy relationship building, how you're going to deploy visibility game plan to really ensure that you're able to position your brand in front of the ideal client. We looked at some of those strategies today. So I trust that you had a lot to take away from today's program in terms of some of the best practices when you're attempting to build a brand and implement marketing strategies to optimize the visibility, reach, and impact, client conversion, and cash flow optimization as of your brand. You do you apply some of these techniques that we have talked about, believe me, you can significantly cash flow your business. We talk also about influencer marketing, the ability to deploy this technique, these techniques into your business can definitely position you for greatness. In the event that you want to learn more about these programs, feel free to reach out to us. Use the numbers on screen and contact us. I'll be so happy to talk with you and really point you in the right direction in starting and scaling your brand. So with that being said, I want to thank the audience for tuning in. Today we are reaching over 50 countries, and thanks for that. Today we have over 40,000 new subscribers over the last 3 to 4 months. And thanks for supporting the platform. Those who are looking at the program and you have not yet subscribed, I want to encourage you to press that subscription button. It's free, and you will definitely be helping the algorithm when you press and support that button, that subscription button. I see Frank just pop in. Frank is saying to yourself, "Yeah, I ain't closing this program unless I can give my closing remarks and talk about my book." All right, Frank, I could give you a chance to fulfill your demand. So give us your closing remarks and tell us a little bit about your book.
All right. Market your brand with brand-based marketing. And I'm talking for many of the most successful companies. Their brand is their single most valuable asset, more so than physical infrastructure. proprietary innovations, or even their subscribers. The story of who they are matters more than literally anything else. And in the 21st century, creating any level of brand affinity doesn't happen without an investment in brand based marketing. And if your brand has a unique story, compelling values, or a mission to make the world a better place, marketing, marketing that mission becomes even more powerful for you. So that's my share for marketing. In the book, we talk about things like operational intelligence, employee productivity, cloud technology. I remembered before in the 20th, well, I born in the 20th century. Sounds like so many years ago. There were talks about this technology, and I've lived for the 21st century. See, cloud technologies have demonstrated their advantages in managing company data and facilitating collaboration among different businesses, different teams that are especially engaged in those large scale projects. We see that organizations have increasingly recognized the benefits of utilizing the cloud for information sharing and collaboration. And this shift results in saving time and costs. So the digital transformation extends beyond understanding the happenings across an organization. Its true value lies in the control, the analytics, and predictive capabilities in office. And this will maximize efficiency, productivity, and customer engagement. So the book speaks to that. It speaks to political environment insight, how you monitor regulation and compliance obligation. So it gives a delve into that and looks at case studies like globalization of different industry, Coca-Cola for one. What are the regulatory challenges that Uber faced? They also look. It also gives some tips on how to navigate the global political and legal factors. So it's a book for those persons who are so involved, so want to become involved in international business and how to lead that business in today's dynamic world. So that's a little share for you.
Sounds like a pretty dynamic book, and I want to congratulate you on making that commitment to start and finish this book. And I know it's going to add significant value to the international community.
It has to be a dynamic book because I'm a dynamic character.
I have no doubts about that.
I didn't hear you, Peter.
We're using D words now.
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a great day ahead of you guys, and see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, you take care. Good seeing you,
Yeah.
people.